Hello everybody, Jardian here. I just got done recording that grappling hook video, which should go up like today, and I'm all winded, my uniform's all messed up, my undershirts are showing, but I really wanted to use this new sword I got before it was, too late, and I still didn't have my cutting stand set up, but every time I walk through the woods, I always find something I can use. So here we go. I'm going to change the angle in a sec, because I know it's a little low. This is the Ronin Dojo Pro number 10. It is a Katana, which I prefer due to the fact that I do Bato Jutsu a lot now. This is just going to be a normal cutting video. I will do a Bato montage later if this thing is good enough for it. This isn't going to be like a full review. I'm going to say what I think, but I don't think I'm qualified to say, how good the sword is. Just, I have my initial impressions. So anyway, I'll get to it. Alright, I've cut a few bottles with this and it went well. This sword has the top half rather sharp, the bottom half not so much, but it feels like it's made for heavier targets. So let me see if I can do anything to this relatively thick gallon of water. Okay, as expected of a, if you can't see, this is a very thick Katana. It's not Do Tanuki, the O is pronounced differently, but I'm going to say that. It's forged in the Do Tanuki style, meaning, a thick, no-nonsense blade, and it kind of just tore through that. I'm going to have to sharpen this. I won't do any fine cutting, but this is out of the box. I'm going to continue with a series of bottles. Nice. I just keep doing that. Now, if you want to talk about fine slicing, there's that. Okay, I kind of baseball batted that one, I'm going to be honest. Of course that worked. Let's see if I can get at least one good cut. Finally. Nice. Sorry, tree. Man. Phew. Okay, that's all the bottles I have. Sorry, that was really mediocre. You want to know what I've always wanted to do? Okay, it's frozen, but now what you just saw, my dear viewer, was me coming out another day because I watched my own footage of the first part of this, which I did like a week ago, and I realized that my form was way off. Not my form, but that was my first time cutting bottles in like a month or two or three, and I realized in my cutting footage that I was cutting at the top like every single time. So what you just saw there was me going back, coming out again, and fixing what I was doing wrong. So I'm sorry. See, if I just uploaded that video without doing all this, I would have been overly negative about something that didn't deserve it. This is a good sword. I made it look like it was like a blunt piece of garbage, but it's not. So what I did there was cut the bottom, and every single one of those except the first, I believe, cut through, and that last one was perfectly clean. That's really all. I wanted to give this a fair shot, and now I'm glad I did. Cap. You see, first part made it look like a crowbar. Now I make it look like a razor. I'm just gonna be honest. I sucked in that first footage. My form was off. I was out of practice. This is why I'm glad I came out. I'm sorry you have to see that first footage. I'm leaving it there as proof that I was messing up. Also, I was talking about the sword being thick. I didn't mean it in the way you might think. You see, it's actually rather thin compared to some katanas. What I meant was that it doesn't really taper. It stays rather similar throughout, and it has a flare at the tip. So, but yeah, that's all the cutting I've got for today. I'm going to go inside and give you guys some fine footage and the specs. Alright, now let's actually get to the review portion of the review. So, I've got the sword here. I will begin with the suka, the handle. The fittings for the cap and the ring here are blackened iron, as is the tsuba. The material for the habaki and seppa, the spacers, are brass. It has blackened same, ray skin, and a black ito. The Minuki here, I haven't quite deciphered yet. I'll give them a good look in another minute. But they are also, if they aren't brass, they're at least colored golden. So it adds a very nice aesthetic to this sword. Only black and brass fittings. I quite enjoy it. Now the blade is what I consider the strong point of this. It's through hardened 1060, which Ronin is quite famous for theirs being sturdy. And they gave it an excellent finish. I'm not sure I can get it to focus properly, but the mune, which I believe is the area up here where it's the spine, has a mirror finish. It is absolutely fantastic. You can see it right now. I'm just moving that around. The blade itself has a bit more, it's not as clear, but it's still very beautiful. Yeah, you can see the spine. Did an excellent job on that. Absolutely. As I said before, you can see it doesn't really taper. Here, I'll get back a minute. You can see it does not really taper all the way down. It does slightly. You can see the stats on Cult. They have got better stats than I could ever give you, so you can check out there if you're interested. And I really like this Tikasaki. The thrusting point flares out into a diamond shape. But yeah, you can see that. Very cool, very cool. So that's really it. The sword is at least listed as having about an 11-inch handle, or 11 3/8 if I remember, and the blade is about 24 inches depending where you look. You know, there is slight variance when you buy these products, so, but it's about 24 inches and the handle is about 11.5. The proportions feel great compared to swinging a normal katana. I don't feel like this is much of a disadvantage. The range feels fine. The point of balance is about 4 inches up, I believe. I can't really get a good one here without messing with the blade too much. Yeah, I'd say about 4 inches. You can check in Cult of Athena again. I'm sure they have a proper measurement. So, what do I think about it? Well, for one, actually, let me pause real quick. Very quickly, before I forget, here's the saya. Pretty standard. It doesn't feel overly heavy or light. It doesn't feel like it's cheaply made. After all, it does have, it's a bit hard because I have the black fittings, but it does have buffalo horn on the mouth of the saya and on the cap. The caps, there you can go. You can see a bit of the line there. It's a bit hard to show in the light. Some of their swords have the black horn, but yeah, it has horn on both ends. The Sageo, I believe this is silk. Nothing really to say about that. It's frayed on the end a little, and it feels okay. I'm not really, not much to say about the Sageo. This fitting here is also in horn. I can't remember the name for it. It holds the Sageo together and keeps it in your belt. But yeah, that's it for the Sageo. Back to the sword review. Sorry, one more thing before we get back to the main review. I forgot to bring this up when I finished the footage. I just wanted to say that Ronin seems to excel for this price point at just how well put together things are. I want you to look at the Seppa and Habaki and the Suba, and the Seppa and Habaki look like they're one piece. Everything is extremely tight together. This, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name of it, but this was a little wobbly when I got it, but it seems fine now. But everything else, look at the way the spine fits in the Habaki. Good focus. Very good, very little gap on it. See there. Everything. It's very snug in there. They did an amazing job on that compared to other swords. This side's a little looser, but overall, I want to say that's one of the biggest strong points, is they definitely have some nice quality control in this. So, for one, while I'm talking about how I think about it, let me show you the paper test. As I stated in the first part of the cut, the first half is not very sharpened. Not that you would need it to be, that's not a very good cutting point anyway, for dynamics. However, in the top half, it does rather well. There is a bit of a thing here, and that wasn't for me using it. I did this as soon as I got it. I should have got that on video, now I'm thinking about it, but as you can see, the top half, despite it being, a rather thicker sword, just at this point on the blade, it does rather well. They gave it a good edge. Some swords don't really have the best edge out of the box. However, this is an exception. Very happy with it. And you could really see that come through during those last cuts where I, not sucking. They do a good job. So, my thoughts on it. One, I believe that everybody... Well, okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. Just from what I led myself to believe from reading all the reviews and looking on all the SBG threads, was that it was going to be a very thick, beefy cutter that wouldn't be suited to lighter targets. However, after actually using it against those bottles, it does very well. The truth is, there is one issue, that's just for me. You can see in the first part of the cutting videos, what I was doing when I was getting back and I was doing the tip cuts. I consider that the easiest type of cut to do, because on most swords, that's the thinnest area, and you accelerate the most when you swing. However, on this, obviously, it has that widened Kasaki, so I was failing at that, and I was kind of bummed. However, I do believe that this is a fine sword. It feels pretty light in the hand, as it's a Katana, total 35 inches instead of around 40. So it's pretty nimble. Definitely a good beginner sword, or somebody else said. It just feels good in the hand. I will say one thing, and this is just for me. I'm not sure if Ronin has a reputation for this, but the Suka is rather thin. I have very small hands, and I'm just used to thicker swords, but it's not an issue. As you saw, I was cutting with it, and if you prefer a thinner Suka, more power to you. This will be great. The guard, Suba, if I can, how should I get this? So, it is blackened iron. It has this storm and rain cloud theme, and I got the one with the kind of pitted design all over it. Not sure how well that'll focus in the light, but basically it looks like there's little hammer marks all over it. It's really cool. One issue, which I just gotta bring up again, this might just be me, and this one I have, but every time I use this sword, it cuts my thumb open, the skin off my thumb. I'll pull a picture right now of like 2 weeks ago. But it's been pretty regular every time I use it. Exception is this time I didn't do any bad jutsu with it. So I was very careful not to hurt my thumb. But overall, I think this sword is good for the money, which, by the way, I haven't brought up yet. This sword retails for like $2.95 on all the sites it goes to. That includes Cult Athena, the SBG store, and Ronin Katana site themselves. On all of them, with shipping, it comes about $3.10. I check everywhere before I buy something. So I got this on the Black Friday sale from Cult. So I got this for about $2.60, which is a very good deal. It's an impressive blade. It feels strong and meaty without losing its cutting power, as I saw in my new cutting. So I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a Kote Katana and you just want a sturdy, reliable cutter. You're not really concerned with having a hamon or anything. Again, this is through hardened, so it doesn't have anything fancy going on in the blade, but it's just a solid, reliable cutter. I'm sure that if I had a stand for cutting mats, this would be a great performer. That's really it. Thank you for watching, and I'm sorry I talked for so long. But this is the Ronin Dojo Pro number 10. It's a great Kote Katana, very sturdy, and I'm sure I'll be using it a lot in the future. Thanks for watching.